In a flurry of claims, US President Donald Trump has stirred up controversy once again, this time by accusing Ukraine of being responsible for the ongoing war with Russia. Trump raised questions about Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's popularity and pointed out that Ukraine has yet to hold scheduled elections due to martial law. Later, he doubled down on these comments with a fiery Truth Social post. These accusations, some of which echo Russian talking points, come just hours after US officials met with a Russian delegation in Riyadh to open talks aimed at ending the nearly 3-year-old conflict. But what's fact and what's fiction in Trump's statements? Let's break it down. Trump first drew attention to Ukraine's lack of presidential elections since 2019 when Zelenskyy, who's a former comedian with no political base, swept to power. He repeated these claims in a Truth Social post calling Zelenskyy a dictator without elections. Here's the thing, Zelenskyy's first 5-year term was set to end in May 2024, but elections have been suspended due to martial law which was implemented after Russia's invasion in February 2022. This martial law is not a new phenomenon. It was drafted back in 2015, long before Zelensky's presidency. Independent observers, including those from the OSCE, confirmed that Ukraine's 2019 elections were competitive and fundamental freedoms were respected. Meanwhile, Zelenskyy has vowed to hold a new election once the conflict ends, but some experts argue that it would be practically impossible to organize elections while cities are under attack and millions of people are displaced. Trump's comments came just hours after the Kremlin questioned Zelenskyy's legitimacy, claiming that his term had ended a narrative frequently pushed by Russia. Interestingly, Trump appeared to be aware of the Russian angle, saying, "That's not a Russian thing, that's something coming from me, from other countries." Zelenskyy, for his part, has said that discussing elections in the middle of a war would be absolutely irresponsible. Trump also claimed that Zelenskyy's approval rating had dropped to a shocking 4%.
Well, we have a situation where we haven't had elections in Ukraine, where we have martial law, essentially martial law in Ukraine, where the leader in Ukraine, I hate to say it, but he's down at 4%.
But here's the catch. Trump didn't provide any evidence for this claim. So where does this number come from? Official polling in Ukraine is limited, especially during wartime. With millions of Ukrainians displaced and large portions of the country under Russian occupation, accurate polling is extremely difficult. That said, some surveys have been conducted by phone with the Kyiv International Institute of Sociology, finding that 57% of Ukrainians trusted Zelenskyy in a recent poll. While this is a significant drop from the 77% at the end of 2023 and 90% in May 2022, it's nowhere near the 4% Trump cited. In a stunning twist, Trump seemed to blame Ukraine for starting the war with Russia. "You should have never started it," he told reporters. This is a point that Kremlin has pushed for some time and it's worth unpacking. The reality is that Ukraine did not start the war. Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine on the 24th of February 2022 after months of military build-up on its border. Russia's initial aggression began back in 2014 with the annexation of Crimea following the ousting of Ukraine's pro-Russian president by popular demonstrations. The war in eastern Ukraine also started in 2014 while the Russian-backed separatists seized control of the parts of Donetsk and Luhansk. Putin's invasion of 2022 under the guise of demilitarization and denazification of Ukraine was a clear escalation of this conflict. NATO had no formal agreements with the Ukraine at that time, and the country had only been considered a potential candidate for future membership. So when Trump says Ukraine started the war, he's aligning with the Kremlin's narrative, which has been widely debunked. Ukraine did not provoke Russia. The invasion was Russia's decision. So all in all, Trump's claims about Ukraine's elections, Zelenskyy's popularity, and the start of the war have stirred up a mix of controversy and confusion. By echoing Russian talking points, Trump has once again inserted himself into the global narrative about the war, this time aligning more with Moscow's perspective than Kyiv's. While Zelensky and his government focus on ending the conflict and rebuilding their war-torn nation, Trump's remarks raise questions about the US political divide and how foreign policy is being shaped in the context of geopolitics, ongoing talks, and tensions. For more updates on Trump, Zelensky, and the Russia-Ukraine war with the US involvement, stay tuned to the official YouTube channel of the Indian Express.